Well, welcome back, Raider Nation. This is Raider Sparks coming at you with another episode, and thanks for everybody that tuned in to last episode with the mock draft for the all defensive mock draft. Today we'll do a all offensive mock draft for the Raiders. So please like, share, subscribe. If you could do a all mock draft for the Raiders for the offense. Like to see what all Raider Nation's thinking out there. The defensive all mock got a lot of good reviews. So yeah, I thought I'd do the all offensive one. So I'll get into the draft, and then I'll do it kind of like I did last time. I'll do what I did on the draft, and then I'll break down the roster as well, so it sort of makes sense of why I chose the players I did. And again, I tried to use like Draft Network and the consensus big board and try to kind of piece it all together. And again, whatever draft board you guys just let me know, whether it's PFF, PFN, draft board, consensus, whatever it is. Just curious to see what Raider Nation's doing out there. But anyways, yeah, please like, share, subscribe. We're getting very, very close to 300 subscribers. So just need some help getting the word out, and that way we can get some more comments coming in. But yeah, we're about 15 away from 300, which is great. I like to hear what all Raider Nation's thinking out there. So, anyways, let's get into it. The first pick we have is the 86th overall pick, and I went ahead and picked Cole Strange out of Chattanooga, 6'6", 301. Now, he's an interior offensive line, can play some tackle as well, but mainly left guard would be the spot for him. So that's kind of obviously we have John Simpson, projected there, but that's something that could change. So, anyways, that's kind of what we got. But he played in the Senior Bowl. He's a little taller than normal Patriot lineman, but he's 301, which is sort of that weight that the Patriots typically look for. And I do know I've been reading stuff that the Patriots, either at the Senior Bowl or his combine or the pro day or several times, the Patriots have been meeting with him. So he's sort of their ideal lineman, and I can see why. Uh, the drawback with him for me is he's 23, but he's 6 years in college, 5 years starter. He's got a lot of starting experience, which I normally don't like the older type players. However, I kind of want to get a guard to come in and seriously challenge for that left guard spot. I know we have some guys in the building already. We'll get into the roster, but I do think Cole Strange, whatever team he goes to, can go right in and play the spot, no problem. I think he can jump right in and play, and so that's what I'm looking for, especially picking in the third round. If I do day one or day two pick, I'm expecting the guy to be a starter. So I think Cole Strange has the ability to be a starter. And when I was going through the draft, he was definitely not only the best I think available when I did the draft, but also the most like type player that they would want. He fits a zone or a gap blocking scheme good, which I believe we're going to run a power gap type scheme, and I think he fits it well. Typically, the Patriots offensive line are very athletic, and he's extremely athletic. He ran a 5.0340, which is pretty much the number that they look for, anything like that or below. He had a 1.7310 split, a 7.443 cone, and a 4.5 shuttle, a 28 vert, but a 120-inch broad jump, which is really, really good. 31 on the bench press as well, so you can see his arms. He's a very strong man. In fact, all of the measurables, all the physical attributes, except for the vertical jump, he was above the 90th percentile. So he's extremely athletic, one of the most athletic interior linemen in the entire draft class. So I think he would fit what they're looking for very well. PFF has him at an 86.3 grade. He gave up one sack, one quarterback hit, and 3 hurries last year. Let's see, he had 160 snaps at left tackle, 535 snaps at left guard, and 2 at right tackle. So he does have that player flexibility, so he can play the tackle spot. I do think he projects very well as a guard. I think he could step in at our guard spot too, or strongly compete for it right away. And so that's the reason I made this pick. I think it fits perfectly our scheme would be looking for. Next, I couldn't pass it up. Jelani Woods. I really liked him at the Shrine Bowl when I first really got to see him. Got to watch a little bit more of him play, and you can see how tall he is, how long he is. 6'7", 259 with 34 over 34-inch arms. Virginia player. He's 23 as well. He came from Oklahoma State. So a little bit older, but COVID kind of did this too. We have a lot of older players in this draft, which I'm not a huge fan of, but is what it is. Fourth round. If we can get a guy to come in and compete for that extra spot, or right now we don't really have an extra spot, but you never know. I'll go through the roster in a minute, but he's too good of a player to pass up, and I wouldn't doubt if we carried four tight ends anyway. So the one thing I didn't think he'd be a very good blocker. That's kind of the knock on him coming in because he does play in line, but he actually got some coaching at the Shrine game and showed that he's actually very not a very good blocker. He's a good blocker, but he has potential to be a very good blocker. So I don't see any problem. He ran a 4.61 40, but he's a long strider. He gets up on defensive backs, faster than they think. He can go by him. Bench press, he had 24-inch or 24 on the bench press, which for 30-inch arms on a receiver or tight end, that's actually really good. So he's a tremendous talent. Big catch radius, so he's got that red zone target that we all want. 44 receptions last year for only 598 yards, 8 touchdowns. But when he was targeted, he had 114.6 QBR. So when the ball goes to him, he's catching it. I saw some draft boards that rated his hands not that great, which I didn't see too much evidence of that. I think that might have been going back to his Oklahoma State days. But in Virginia, when I watched, he was good. And in the Shrine Bowl, he was, well, he probably was the best player in the game, if not the top five player, if you want to parse it out or whatnot. But he was definitely a standout at the Shrine game and really good player. I think he'd be a good addition to our team. I think, like I said, I think we're going to carry four tight ends. It seems like, but you never know. Foster Morrow, who knows? Maybe he comes in and competes with Foster because we got Hollister, who's more of a blocking tight end. We got Waller, who's a receiving tight end, and then Foster is supposed to be that do-it-all tight end. Well, Jelani could possibly come in and compete with him as well. And he is on the last year of his contract, so we'll see what happens there. My next pick is Kevin Austin, who, if you guys haven't seen my article before, I comped the top 45 receivers in the draft, or the top 45 that I think are the top 45 receivers, to pro players. And I had him at Terry McLaurin. I was going back and forth with him or Devontae Adams. It could have went either way, and maybe I look back on I should have done Devontae Adams, but I'm not saying he's going to be Devontae Adams, but he has the physical traits to be. He's from Notre Dame. He ran a 4.43, which is actually about 10th faster than Devontae. Devontae's a 4.5 guy. 6'2", 213, about the same size. He's only 21 years old, so he's still maturing. He plays a lot of the X, but he also can play the slot. Makes plays at all levels of the field. That's one thing I loved about watching him play. It doesn't matter. He can blow by dudes. He can run every route in the book. He can make plays from anywhere. He gets yak yards. He had a 39-inch vertical, which is about the same as Devontae. 132-inch broad jump, which is fantastic. He had a 6.71 3-cone and a 4.15 shuttle, which is superb. Right? Very, very high athletic talent. He had 89 snaps in the slot, 319 wide, 48 receptions, 888 yards. But the thing I liked, 7 touchdowns, but 18 and a half yards per reception. So the man can get yak. You can throw the ball anywhere and he can get you yards. He's a tough runner, somebody that we could put on the opposite side. Actually, one of the reasons I want to bring him in is because 6'2", he's kind of the same measurables, but as Edwards, but more athletic. And so I want to challenge Edwards for that roster spot. So we brought in DeMarcus obviously for his experience and some of the things that he can do on the field. We bought in Hollis for very specific reasons, to be that big red zone target and to do a bunch of other things. But Kevin Austin can definitely come in and compete for a roster spot. I really think his athleticism could get him a spot and actually could possibly take over that number 2 role for us. The next guy I went with was Matt Walesko from North Dakota. And that would be a 5th-round pick. Kevin Austin was 5th round. I'm sorry, and Jelani Woods was 4th round. That's kind of the way that the draft board was falling, where these guys were sort of projecting to go. That all could change between now and all the pro days in the draft, but this is kind of what I was piecing together and what I was seeing. But Matt Walesko, offensive tackle, 6'5", 312, out of Central Michigan, or I'm sorry, 6'7", 312. Typically, the Patriots tackles are much larger, heavier, but occasionally they had the smaller right tackles, and when they did that, they were very athletic, and he's very athletic. So, kind of given where we're at in the draft right now, I thought that would be a good spot for us to go. He's, like I said, 6'7", 312, 36-inch arms, over 10-inch hands, and 85 wingspan. So he's got that great length. He ran a 5.06 40, which is really good for a man that size. 1.73 10 split, 30-inch vert, which is very good, and 9 foot 5 inch broad jump, which also is very good. If you look at the measurables the Patriots were looking at, that fits. It's even better for tackle wise than typically they would get. He gave up no sacks last year, 2 quarterback hits, six hurries. He played all at left tackle, but I have no doubt with his athleticism, I feel strongly that he could play right tackle. Not a big fan of moving guys, or especially if they haven't played the position. Not to say he hasn't played in the past. I didn't go back through all of his history, but with this athleticism for a man this size, I have no doubt that he could do it. And so I really like the player. He did well at the Senior Bowl. Somebody to keep an eye on for the Raiders if we want somebody to come in and compete for that right tackle spot. The next guy I went with, Taekwon Thornton. I got him in the sixth, and just like I did in the defensive draft, I added a player. And please, if you guys want, please like, share, subscribe. Definitely encouraged to see what your guys' drafts look like for all offense for the Raiders. But I couldn't resist Taekwon Thornton, an old Raider fan myself, with the speed and everything else. 4.28 40. Sign me up for that in the sixth round all day long. 6'2", 181. He's got longer arms for a receiver, over 33 inches from Baylor. 36 and a half vert, 130-inch broad jump is very good, very athletic. His biggest knockback, and you can probably see it on the screen, is his thin frame. Doesn't bode well for man coverage. However, I know he's a track guy too. I watched him play. I was expecting to see just a track guy, but he actually looks like a football player. If that makes any sense when you watch him, he was making contested catches, strong at the catch point. It looked like with his long arms, and he looked bigger playing right. But in the pictures, he looks very thin, and he is. But who's to say he can't fill out a little bit? Although his frame doesn't maybe look like it. But we've seen guys with a thin frame like Devontae Smith come in and do just fine. So with that speed in the sixth round, all day long, I'm going to take a shot at it. No problem. Go for it. He has 62 receptions for 948 yards, 15.3 average, and 10 touchdowns. Big catch radius, like I said. So I don't know. I think I would definitely take a shot at this. Yes, I did get two receivers, and I'll explain that in a minute. But we'll move on to the next. And like I said, I added a pick because I just feel strongly that we're going to at some point make a trade or do something to get an extra pick because we definitely need more draft picks this year to get them ready for the following year because we're not going to have as much money in free agency to go out and get guys. So we need to get the right guys this year to come in and help this year, yes, but to also to help for the following year when we won't have as much money to throw around like we do this year. And my last is Kevin Harris. I really like him out of South Carolina. Not a lot of wear and tear on the tires with this guy either. He only has 3 years, but he's got dealt with injuries, and that's the only reason why he's so low in the draft. He just had his pro day. 24 the teams met with him, so he's in demand. He had some leg issues there, but in the seventh round, I'm going to take a shot. I went back and forth of which running backs to get, and I decided to go very late because I'll go through the roster in a minute, but Bolden and Drake, they're already signed through at least 2 years. So the only one coming up as not is Josh Jacobs. So if we sort of want to get his replacement, and we don't know what Regis is yet, or coming to compete with Regis, then this would be the guy. He can run in a power gap scheme, no problem. He's made big plays. He is tremendously athletic. He's 5'10", 221. He runs so strong from South Carolina. His vert was 38 and a half, 10 foot 6 inch broad jump. The vert was second in the combine for running backs, and the broad jump was third in the combine for running backs. The 40 he didn't do. He's having some leg issues, but again, that's why he's here. In 2020, 185 attempts for over 1,100 yards, 6.2 average, 15 touchdowns. He had a long of 88, so he makes big plays. Like I said, 24 teams at his pro day met with him. Or maybe it's at the combine, one of the two. But anyways, he's getting a lot of buzz, a lot of interest from teams. I don't blame him. You put the tape on this guy, he is a very good running back. And so, if we're not sure what's going on with Jacobs or whatnot, then by all means, let's do it. But let's get into the actual roster. So far on the offensive side, we've brought in 8 new guys, and we've signed a couple of our own. But we have some roster spots still available. I went with the roster that had. For the Patriots, they had 2 quarterbacks last year. So we have our 2 right now, but Garrett Gilbert, we're going to get another quarterback. So hold on tight. I'm sure it'll come anytime. But like I said at the beginning of doing all of this, we're going to have, or most likely we're going to have somebody that's familiar with the systems in each position group. And defense, it's almost true. In fact, you kind of stretch it that it probably is true. It's very close. So the D line, the interior D line, maybe not. But if you consider Chandler Jones all as a D lineman, then all the position groups have somebody that's familiar with the system. No different here. Garrett Gilbert, he's a Patriots backup or practice squad guy. So there you go. So receiving wise, obviously, and Devontae Adams, obviously Hunter Renfrow. Devontae signed up for 2023. Hunter not yet, but he will. Matt Collins, we got him, so I expect him to make the team. They actually gave him $2 million, 700 guaranteed. So if we caught him, it was 1.3 million savings there. But like I said, I think he fills a role for this team in the red zone. So I have good hope that he's going to make it. Brian Edwards is signed through 2023, 1.2 million. If we cut him, we save 800K. So we'll see. And Demarcus Robinson, we got him. He's only for 1 year, 1 million, and basically half was guaranteed. So we could cut and save a little bit of money there if we had to. But they carried 6 wide receivers, at least November when I looked at. And so right now in the top 51, we don't have another receiver that's in our top 51 pay. So that's the reason I drafted 2 receivers because 1, we have an open spot, and 2, I want somebody to come in and compete with Brian Edwards. And I think the guys that I picked, Taekwon fills a role to stretch the field with that speed. But I think Kevin Austin can seriously come in and challenge Brian Edwards for the roster spot. And after that, I think our receiving room would be looking fantastic. Next, tight ends. Darren Waller, who signed through 2023. If we cut him, we save $7 million, but I don't see that happen. I see him probably get an extension. Foster Moreau, this is his last year. He's a $2.6 million contract cap hit this year. If we cut him, it saves $2.5 million. So that's the reason I went with a tight end because you never know. And also, there's only 3 tight ends on here. I have a feeling that we might add a tight end because some of the depth charts the Patriots showed did have 4 tight ends and some had 3. So if we get a quality tight end in the draft, then great. If not, we have Jack Hollister here, and then he's from the Pats. So there's your Patriots position group guy. We got him for a year for $1 million, but no guaranteed money, so we could cut him if we wanted to. So those are our 3 tight ends now. Again, I drafted Jelani Woods to come in and compete primarily with Foster Moreau, or to add a roster spot because I do think Jacob's going to be on the team because of his special teams ability and his blocking ability, and then Waller, we all know that. So there are a lot of good tight ends. If you haven't checked out my video on the tight ends in the draft, please go check it out. Hopefully everybody's liked, subscribed, shared the video by now, making comments, want to hear what everybody has to say. And then the running back room, Josh Jacobs, this is last year right now. I don't know if we're going to pick up his 3-year option. 3.8 million cap hit. That's all guaranteed right now. Kenny Drake, he is with us through 2022. 3. I won't go through the numbers. There's no savings with him. Brandon Bolden, Patriots guy, so there's your Patriots connection. And he is signed through 2023 as well. Can't cut him either. We'd lose money. And then they had 4 running backs. And in our top 51 pay right now, there's only 3 running backs in there. So I know we have Trey Regis on the roster, but I want to see him come in and compete. That's the reason I drafted Kevin Harris. Just use a 7th round pick to get him, so it's not a lot of draft capital, so it makes sense from that point. But let those guys come in and compete for that 4th roster spot. And honestly, there's probably going to be several running backs brought in UDFA. I just didn't want to tie up a higher draft pick because there are some other running backs. There's some really good running backs in this draft. If you haven't checked out my video on that, I made one with that as well. But since Drake and Bolden are both here, they're both sort of that pass catching mold, the third down mold, that kind of a back. We have two of them signed up through already next year. I thought the more power back would be or all purpose or do it all kind of back, bellwether back if you want to call it, Josh Jacobs replacement if you want to call it, would be the most appropriate type of running back to take right now. So that's why I did that. And then obviously fullback we have Jacob Johnson, who's a Patriots, so nothing to talk about there. And then tackles, the Patriots kept 3 tackles. So we have Brandon Miller or Colton Miller, obviously not going anywhere. Brandon Parker signed a 1-year deal for 3.5, and if we cut him, it saves 800,000. So he's going to be on the team. Hopefully, he's the swing tackle. I've said it 1,000 times on this show. I think Leatherwood's going to be our right tackle. I just do. He has that athleticism that the Patriots look for in a guard, but he's tall and the weight. He just needs to add a little bit of weight, and he'd be kind of a ideal tackle for like the Patriot mold. And if we're bringing sort of that same look, he kind of fits that very well. And they even changed the roster from guard to guard slash tackle. So and with the contract, they didn't go out and get a big name right tackle. They gave him, and we don't know what they gave Illuminor yet, but it won't be more than Brandon Parker got. So they did not pay Brandon Parker starting right tackle money. They paid him swing tackle money for a reason. So heads up on that. I've said it on this channel 1,000 times, and apparently Leatherwood's looking great. So as far as the gym, and then the other tackle we have on the roster in the top 51 is Jackson Barton. He's not signed through. He's only signed for 1 year for $1 million. We cut him. We save $1 million. That's the reason I drafted. Well, let's go because we do have an opening here for that tackle spot. Guard wise, Denzel Good. He's only signed through next year. 3.7. We can save 3.7. And then Leatherwood, I still have as a guard. Alex Bars, he plays all 5 spots, but we brought him in primarily as a guard. So he's only signed for 1 year, 1.7. If we cut him, we save 1.5 million. So if that doesn't work out, we have John Simpson. He is signed up through 2023 for $1 million. If we cut him, we save 700,000. And then Illuminor as well. We brought him as a guard tackle. There's your Patriots connection on the offensive line. Obviously, he's here with us last year. And then Andre James as well. So and then there's an open spot. They carried 3 centers, but I would say 2 centers. So that's the reason I did Cole Strange, because we have, if we cut good or there's a lot of things that can go on here. I wouldn't be surprised if we drafted actually 2 guards, but we only have so many draft picks, and there's actually quite a few guards in the UDFA as well that we can get. There's a lot of good quality guards out there that fit the Patriot kind of mold. But Cole Strange, I think, would be perfect to come in. He can compete with John System. He could be the backup guard. He could be the backup center if need be. He could even swing out to tackle if it happens to be that way. He can play all 5 positions like Alex Barr. So, oh, excuse me. And so that's why I got Cole Strange. Plus, he's super athletic and he fits the profile of except for the height of very athletic interior offensive linemen the Patriots typically do. So that's why I did the draft I did. I think it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, we're not going to draft all offense. We're not going to draft all defense either, but it's kind of fun to put it together and to kind of see what we come up with. I really hope the Raiders find a way to get a few more draft picks this year, because a lot of our starting spots, honestly, are full. Like our roster looks really good. We're kind of talking about depth now and roles that people can play, and there are some starting spots. Like I think there's legitimate cases to be made for starting positions on the offensive line, especially at the left guard spot, even the right tackle spot. I don't think what the moves we've made have set anything in stone for those things. And there's some other offensive linemen I really like. I mean, I would bring Cam Jurgens to compete with Andre James. I think Cam Jurgens is a fantastic player. He fits the system as well. If we had an extra draft pick, honestly, if I would have put a 7th pick, that's what I would have put here, just for that reason, because he's center, but I'm sure he can play guard, and Andre James can play guard, whatever. But fantastic player. So, anyways, that's all I got tonight. Hopefully, everybody likes, share, subscribe, make lots of comments. I want to hear what everybody has to say. And other than that, Raider Nation, the roster's looking great. Hopefully Monday comes around, we have some more news to report, some more moves that have been made. Obviously, we all want Honey Badger. We all want Gilmore. I'm sure there's going to be another D tackle, something like that. I think Danny Shelton would be a great addition for us. Eddie Goldman would be great. Calais Campbell, Akeem Hicks, whatever, would be fantastic. And as far as the rest of it goes, we'll see how it all plays out. That the roster's looking great, and that's all I got for you tonight, Raider Nation. Thanks for joining in, and hopefully next time we come on, we talk about some more free agent moves. Have a good night.